Today we're talking about ESBC's alpha gameplay features, but before we start, if I see anyone at all complain about this game's graphics, then I will personally shove Legos in between your toes and make you kick a steel door. The same people complaining about the graphics of this game are the same ones who paid full price or even pre-ordered UFC 4. Hating on a game's graphics when it's in early development is like hating on a painting that's a work in progress. It makes no sense. But now that that's out of the way, let's talk about ESBC's alpha gameplay features. So the first thing this video shows off is the movement system. In this clip they show off David Adelaide getting out of danger by using a check hook and then circling away from his opponent. The movement does look fluid, not 100%, but that's to be expected seeing as it's in alpha, but it does look sort of smooth, like a McDonald's milkshake, if you will. I'm only joking, those things are thicker than summer rae. One thing that I noticed that I really liked is the footwork. The footwork is different for each fighter, which gives every fighter a unique feel, which is crucial when it comes to making a realistic boxing game. You don't want every fighter feeling the same. The developers also show off some of the game's physics. They show how every punch will not land cleanly, some will miss, some will glance off the opponent, some will land flush, others will land devastatingly, like the punch Conor threw against Mayweather. That, oh my god, that punch to this day is gut wrenching.
I didn't think his jab was going to be effective, but look at him.
These punches all depend on the position of your fighter and the position of the opponent, and whether or not you're moving forward, backwards or side to side, which is very cool. The second thing that was shown off was the feint system. Any good boxing game needs a feint system. Feints are essential in boxing and can be the keys to success when it comes to winning a fight. You don't just want to throw wild like this guy. Now, the feints in this game do look a little bit janky. It looks like the Tin Man is trying to learn boxing for the first time, but he needs a bit more oil in his joints. I would like to see these feints look more convincing rather than looking like someone who doesn't know how to play the game and is just spamming buttons. I don't think the feints are convincing enough yet. Some of the feints are a little too quick, which obviously some feints are, but for my liking, I would rather have a feint actually look like a feint. I want to see it sell. I want to see the boxer, the fighter, really sell the feint, really sell the idea of the feint shot. I want to see the whole fighter's body get involved when you're throwing a feint. I would like to see more variations of feints as well, such as movement feints, pretending to engage with a fighter but then disengaging, that kind of stuff. Also chained feints, why not? Why not throw chain feints in? Why can't we do that? We can. So do it. Feints in this game, they do look a little bit janky, and I would like to see more convincing feints, actually, you know, pretending to go in and engage with an opponent but then actually just disengaging. Them kind of feints would be cool to see. And obviously this feature is in early stages, so no doubt it will get better as development proceeds, but even adding a feint system alone is 10 times better than Fight Night Champion, which had no feint system, by the way. The third thing that was shown off was footwork. Now this is probably my favorite thing out the entire video that they show off. The footwork in this, oh bro, I'm getting wet. Sorry. No, but the footwork on a reel though, the footwork system in this game is beautiful to watch. It's fluid, it's clean, and the transitions from left to right movement to forward and backwards movement is effortless. It's smoother than a bottle of Jameson's after a hard day's work. It's spectacular to look at. The footwork is it's just marvelous. It makes each fighter feel like they're on, which is great when it comes to a boxing game. You want that in a boxing game. This means you can't obviously have the same approach to each fighter, and you will have to change the way you fight based on how your opponent moves, which is dope. So it's going to actually require a few brain cells. The way the developers did this is they brought in the actual boxer into the studio and recorded how each one of the boxers moved and captured that and then implemented it into the game. So it's really exciting to see that they're actually using how the fighters move and putting it into the game. Having fighters that actually move like the real fighters in real life adds a layer of authenticity to the game and another layer of realism. So I'm impressed with the footwork. The footwork, mwah! It's like it gets me hyped. I'm sorry, the footwork is gorgeous in this game. The fourth thing that was shown off, something I've not seen in a game, in a boxing game, in an MMA game, maybe I haven't played enough, but the adrenaline system. This is something I never considered being in a combat sports game, but now that I think of it, makes sense in a way to be in a combat sports game. So, you know, credit to the developers for even thinking of it. And the way this adrenaline system works is you get your heart rate over a certain BPM, and once it's over a certain BPM, your fighter's stamina then maxes out. Similar to how Fight Night Champion, when you would hurt your opponent and your stamina would max and you wouldn't be able to lose stamina during that period. It's a similar situation with that, but the difference is after that boost is over with, you will get taxed a good amount of stamina for doing it. So there is a consequence to doing it, and there also is a cooldown period when you do this. This feature is really about timing, and timing this feature could be the key to closing the shot and actually finishing your opponent. If you hurt your opponent but the opponent is not seriously hurt, you might gas out and then your opponent could counter that. But if your opponent's seriously hurt and you use this, you could close the shot. So it's a great feature. Well done, Steel City.
You fucking gay!
The next feature that was shown off was the counter punch system. Now, the counter punch system did nothing for me. It looks pretty standard. I would like to see it a bit more like Fight Night counter system. It doesn't have to be the same, obviously just maybe be inspired by it and see how that works, and you know, create your own style to it. But I liked how in Fight Night Champion, when you actually slipped a punch, you could feel it, you could hear it, and you could feel the slip, and it felt like you genuinely slipped a punch. I'd like that same sort of feeling when it comes to ESBC. So if the developers could make slipping punches and actually landing a counter punch feel more rewarding and make it feel like you're actually slipping and then actually countering, that would be great. I'd love that. But the counter system so far, from what I've seen, it's nothing revolutionary. It won't change global warming or anything like that. It's just a pretty standard basic counter system that every combat game should have. Cornerwork is something new that I've not seen in a boxing game or an MMA game. In ESBC, you can hire certain cutmen to come in and work on cuts and help you recover between rounds. The 4 things the cutman will work on is your actual cut, stopping the cut from bleeding, reducing the swelling, reducing your head damage, and reducing your body damage. By the way, the fact that there's going to be swelling in this game is amazing. UFC 4, get your pen and paper out. Start writing, boy. Start writing. I hope to see hematomas. I want to see people's face just absolutely swell up. I want to see their face look like they've been stung by 1,000 wasps. I just want to see that kind of swelling in the game. If there's that kind of swelling in the game, you can have my money and you can have my mum as an exchange as well if you want her. Actually, I don't think I want to make that trade. The more expensive the cutman is, the better the recovery you will have in between rounds. Now, I imagine this feature is only going to be for story mode, as that would make the more sense. I can't really see it working online unless it's in an ultimate team sort of system where you could unlock it in packs or something like that. But apart from that, I think this is more story mode orientated, but it's a cool feature nonetheless.
How tall are you? Your group.
The next feature that was shown off was fight stances. In ESBC, each fighting stance will offer their own pros and cons. In the examples the developers show, they show that the Philly shell will defend body shots naturally to a certain extent without you having to press the block button all the time. And I imagine it goes much deeper than that. For example, I imagine the Philly shell will probably allow you to slip certain shots more efficiently, but also make you more susceptible to other shots. So it's all about finding the right stance and the right style for you, and knowing how each stance works from a defensive manner and an offensive manner.
Bruh.
Career mode. In career mode, you can hire a certain promoter to help you along your boxing journey. A top tier promoter will get you better fight deals, more money for each fight, and create better opportunities for you in terms of fights and what type of fights you get. But obviously, the better the promoter is, the more pennies it will cost. A promoter could make or break your fighter's career, so choosing the right one is crucial. The promoter also helps you negotiate rematch clauses, so if you lose your fight you can instantly run it back like they do in actual boxing, unless of course you are David Hay and you think you are so good that you do not need to sign one. How'd that work out for you, David, eh? How'd that work for you? LOL! You can also negotiate an injury insurance, so if you get injured during fight camp, you can you're able to reschedule the fight at a later date if your opponent agrees to the terms. Training camps can last a maximum of 8 weeks, which is really cool. You can also choose where you want to fight, and I would assume that the location of the fight would affect how many fans are going to be in the arena and how much money you would make and how much money the fight would generate. So if you choose to fight in Steve's backyard, and Linda might be there, Cheryl, she might be there, Karen might be there, right? But you're not going to get much money. There's only going to be like maximum 10 people. But if you fight in the MGM Grand Garden Arena, you're going to get paid. So there is a lot of things to consider before signing a fight contract. So just signing fights blindly and trying to rush through the career mode isn't going to work in this game. You have to be smart and negotiate your contracts in order to get to the top. But your opponent has to be willing to sign the contract. You can't make it unfair. You have to make the contract fair. You can't do a Floyd Mayweather and demand 300 million to fight whilst your opponent only gets a £10 discount voucher from Nando's. It doesn't work like that. That's unfair. So yeah, as much as you can tweak with the contract, you're going to be restricted because the other opponent's not going to sign an unfair deal, so you have to make it sort of fair. Another feature in career mode is the better your coach is, the more knowledge you will have. So if you have Ty Lopez in your corner, then the amount of knowledge you will receive will be, it'll just blow your mind. You'll be like, bro, I didn't even know this much knowledge existed in the universe.
Knowledge.
However, I am not a fan of this system. I don't like this sort of system. I don't mind it, but it's something EA did, right, in UFC 4, and they did it horribly. So that's why I'm not a fan of it. It's just, oh, read about your opponent. It's like Tinder. Read the bio and see what this person's about. Cool and all that, but I want to get to actual talking. Or in this case, I want to get to the actual fight. I personally prefer sparring a training partner who has a similar style to my opponent rather than my coach telling me every little detail about my opponent. It's cool and all, but I don't think knowing the shoe size of my opponent will help me during a fight. You know, I'd rather have someone sparring me who replicates a similar style to my opponent. That way I can learn, that way I can actually judge distance instead of just reading that, oh, this person's got a long reach. It doesn't help me. I need to actually be able to judge it in there. So I'm not a fan of this, but hopefully they add the sparring element to it as well. To conclude, ESBC looks like a boxing game that the developers genuinely care for. I know, shock, game developers caring about games they're making. Wow, what a world we live in. It seems like the developers genuinely have a passion for boxing and genuinely have a passion for making boxing games and making realistic boxing games. Instead of just making a boxing game for money, it seems like these developers really care about their game and really care about boxing in general. So this game is very, 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 very promising. The developers seem to actually care and they listen to the feedback of the audience, the people who are potential buyers of the game, so that's great to know. And overall, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with this video. I'm impressed with what they've shown off. I'm impressed with the footwork. Oh, I can't get over that. The footwork looks phenomenal in the game. I like the concept for the career mode. I like each fighter, how each fighter has their own style and own feel to it. I like the adrenaline system in the game, and I like the cornerwork system in the game. Not a massive fan of the feint system or the coach system, but there's still room for improvement. Also, before I end this video, don't get why people are complaining about the graphics of this game. It looks like a very good game, seeing as it's in alpha. UFC 4 looks like a PSP game, and that's a fully fleshed out released title. So do not complain about, don't complain about the graphics, because I'll personally whack you in your jaw. I'm just mad. I'm just mad lately in general. Plus, the developers of ESBC are independent and don't have billions funding them to make a game. So, you know, have a break, will you? Have a Kit Kat and shut the hell up. But overall, ESBC, could be a boxing game that fans have been waiting for. Even if it's been 10 years, I think this boxing game could live up to the hype and could be worth the 10 years we have been waiting for a boxing game. So let me know your thoughts and let me know what you think about these features in ESBC. Let me know if you're going to buy it on day one, or are you going to wait till the reviews come in to see if the game's actually what it looks like. Let me know your thoughts. What's going on in your head? How's your day been? What do you want to see in this game? I'd love to hear what you have to say. Like the video if you like the video, that's how it works. And subscribe to stay up to date if I ever do make a follow-up video on this. Goodbye, I'm out, peace.